We are now talking about the communist insurgencies in the Philippines.
The history of communist armed conflict in the Philippines is closely related to the history of communism in the Philippines, which various armed conflicts linked to the armed wings of the various communist organizations that have linked since 1930. The two largest conflicts have been the Hukbalahap Rebellion of 1942 to 1954, which was initiated by the Partido Komunistang Pilipinas of 1930, and its armed group the group Hukbalahap. Hukbalahap ng Bayan or People Liberation Army, which began 1969.
Good day everyone. I am Charles Emmanuel Bidora from BSME 2D, and for today's video, we will tackle about the history of Mindanao conflict, which is the MNLF. The current armed conflict in Mindanao reflects the recurring call for the fulfillment of the right to self-determination of the Muslim population in the Philippines in order to obtain sustainable peace. With almost 40 years of on and off fighting between Muslim armed opposition groups and the Philippine military forces, and the resulting high toll on human lives and search for sustainable peace and full respect for human rights remains a big challenge. The current armed conflict started in late 1960s when a Muslim armed group, Moro National Liberation Front or MNLF, started to advocate for a Moro homeland. The Philippine government responded through military means, resulting in numerous deaths among and displacement of the civilian population, Muslim as well as Christians. In the 1970s, the Philippine government initiated peace talks and obtained a peace agreement with and then main Muslims armed opposition group MNLF to stop the conflict and address the problems. But armed confrontations broke out every now and then between the Philippine military and the MNLF, and also with another Muslim armed opposition group, Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF. For every breakout of armed hostilities, thousands of non-combatants are caught in the crossfire and suffer displacement and other human rights violations. To emphasize their deep sense of independence as a people, many Muslims in Mindanao collectively call themselves Moro, the word used by the colonial Spanish government to refer to the Muslim people. This extends to the use of the word Bangsamoro o Moro nation to indicate a people separate from the rest of the Philippine population. So that's the story of conflict in the Philippines. Thank you.
(1996) Final Peace Agreement in September 2, 1996. The 1996 Final Peace Agreement, also called the Jakarta Accord, was signed on September 2, 1996 in Manila, Philippines by Manuel Yana, representing the government of the Philippines, and Noor Misaure of the Moro National Liberation Front. As stipulated in the peace agreement, a regional plebiscite on the expansion of the four-province autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao or ARM was held in August. Only one province, the Muslim majority island of Basilan, voted to join the ARM, nor the Misaure or the MNLF founder and ARM. Governor opposed the legitimacy of the plebiscite election. In November, a new faction of MNLF supporters loyal to the original goals or vision of Noor Misaure attacked an AFP installation in Zamboanga and Hulu Island, which resulted in 140 deaths. Noor Misaure was arrested on entering Sabah, Malaysia, and was held by the AFP security forces in the Philippines.
True Noor Misaure rhetoric may have triggered the violence, and the identity of the new faction is based on allegiance to the original Noor Misaure vision. Misaure denounced the violence and attempted to flee. Hence, this event could be considered a ceasefire violation or a new conflict involving a new splinter group. Fortini, who studied group of fragmentation, considered it as a new conflict with a new faction, as does UCDP. The UPPCALA or Uppsala University Conflict Database reports minor armed conflict in 2001 between the GRP and MNLF-NM, a new faction of the original MNLF group, leading to roughly 200 deaths. Is an agreement between the government of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. The Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro was signed on March 27, 2014, which concluded 17 years of negotiation between the government of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front.
This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to discuss about the Bangsamoro Liberation Movement and the Meiji Restoration. Let's first discuss about the Bangsamoro Liberation Movement. Bangsamoro Liberation Movement, also known as the Moro Islamic Liberation Front or Bangsamoro Islamic Armed Force, is a group based in Mindanao seeking an autonomous region of the Moro people from the central government. The group has a presence in the Bangsamoro region of Mindanao, the Sulu of Archipelago, Palawan, Basilan, and other neighboring islands. The Moro National Liberation Front or MNLF was established clandestinely in 1969 by Moro students studying at the University of the Philippines, Egypt, and in the Middle East who sought to create an independent Muslim nation in southern Philippines. It started as the splinter group of the Muslim independence movement. The MNLF was the leading organization among Moro separatists for about 2 decades, beginning from the 1970s. The MNLF gained foreign support from Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, which supplied arms and provided training for Moro youths. The Moro insurgency was triggered by the Jubida massacre on March 18, 1968, during which 60 Filipino Muslim commandos on a planned operation to reclaim the eastern part of the Malaya state of Sabah were killed. Now, let's move to our next topic, which is the Meiji Restoration. The Meiji Restoration, referred to at the time as an honorable restoration and also known as the Meiji Renovation, Revolution, Regeneration, Reform, or Renewal. In Japanese history, Meiji Restoration is the political revolution in 1868 to 1889. Meiji Restoration happened because the leaders wants to unite the country under a new centralized government in order to strengthen their army to defend against foreign influence. There were 3 main causes of the Meiji Restoration. The first one is the internal problems in Japan made ruling the country too difficult. The feudal systems was decaying and factions were growing. Reinstalling the emperor legalized the movement by connecting it to an old tradition that encouraged everyone to unify. The second one was outside pressure from foreign affairs convinced the Japanese that they needed to modernize quickly. And lastly, Japan started building Kokotai, which means national essence. The idea of nationalisms and the nation-state was growing. A nation-state is a country where the population shares a common national and cultural identity. When the Meiji period ended, with the death of the emperor in 1912, Japan had a highly centralized bureaucratic government, a constitution establishing an elected parliament, a well-developed transport and communication system, a highly educated population free of feudal class restrictions, an established and rapidly growing industrial sections based on the latest technology, and a powerful army and navy.
This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Hi, I'm Morrison Davidson Tao, the last report of the group, which I will tackle the other struggles of Mindanao in maintaining the peace of the island group. With a population of 24 million, has long had the highest poverty rates in the Philippines, despite its natural resources and a promising agricultural sector. Mindanao is prone to natural disasters, resulting in displacement. As to the rest of the country, displacement in Mindanao is also caused by clashes between the military and armed groups that rejects or are no longer involved in peace talks with the government. Besides conflict, displacement, and poverty, a shadow criminal economy, clan politics, and intercommunal tension also disrupts the livelihoods and economic potential of Mindanao, requiring a nexus approach to response of over 100,000 people are in protracted displacement in Mindanao because of conflict and violence. In the latest development, heavy rains in late December 2022 have caused floods in 9 regions of the Philippines, mostly affecting the Mindanao Islands. As of January 3, 2022, over 25,000 people have been displaced, and around 90% being in northern Mindanao. Most of the displaced are in evacuation centers and in needs of food items and NFIs, including drinking waters, blankets, hygiene, sleeping kits, and more. The key concerns of Mindanao is a population, shelter, with a lack of privacy and reported issues, and the limited space. The food and livelihoods that they have a limited access to livelihood opportunities and the transitory sites, and hence are unable to pray for their daily needs. On February 2022, political violence and attacks by armed groups in Mindanao around by the presidential May election results in displacements and protection issues. The risk has materialized, and the Philippine 3-month-long election campaign spanned from February to May 2022, with the general election occurring on 9th of May. Unfortunately, around 15 people died from election-related violence in Mindanao during the campaign period and on election day.